What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio here, aka Neo Cards and Comics. Talking a little Luka today on a Saturday morning. His prices have really shot up the last few weeks. And I kind of wanted to just do a little deep dive into a bunch of his different cards because pretty much everything was going up. My hope was that I could find some buying opportunities for some cards that have not risen yet, along with everything else. So, was I able to? I guess we'll find out. I looked at a bunch of different silvers and a bunch of different parallels, base cards. I was just curious. I wanted to do a deep dive and kind of speculate on why this may be happening and will it continue or will it fall off now and kind of settle back down again. So, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. Market Movers links down there. We'll obviously be using Market Movers for all our fancy charts and graphs. Very busy weekend ahead. I hope you guys and girls have a good weekend. The Canton Hall of Fame football show is this weekend. It's not very big, but that's going on this weekend. I have two card shows next weekend locally or in the Northeast Ohio area, and then two shows the weekend after that in the same thing, Northeast Ohio area. I also have a card collector 2 PSA order that came in that I need to get down to his shop and pick up at some point in time. And I'm fresh off the National. It's card crazy here. I don't know what's going on. So let's dive into some Luka nonsense. So what spurred this? I believe it was his Olympic game. The reason why I say that is my plan going into the National, as we all know, was to buy lower pop around $1,000 Luka cards. I picked up the Mosaic. I was looking for an Optic Hollow PSA 9. I really wanted a Prism Silver PSA 9. They were going right around $1,000 right before the National. And I was like, perfect. Exactly what I want to spend for one. Well, then in the wee hours of the morning, Luka comes out and drops like 45 or something in that first Olympic game. Almost set the Olympic record. And when I woke up that morning, first thing I usually do is scroll through Twitter to see what shenanigans I missed, overnight, whether it's sports or non-sports, whatever. And I see all the, oh my God, Luka's going off. Okay, cool, great, perfect. And then I go look at eBay and look at my, look at my watch list, look at my saved searches. This is like my morning routine. And I always look at ended items. And of course, all the Luka stuff I was following got bought out, at least on the Silver Prism. And then the price jumped. Sweet. New comps right before the National. So needless to say, that card went up pretty decently right before the National started, and I was not able to get into one for the price point that I wanted. You could see, actually, here, Market Movers, I have it up. There's actually, it never got quite to 900, but I was hoping to get for one for around 1,000 or 1,100. But we see an 1150, a 1,200, and then during the National, it had got up to, there was a 1,475, a 1,275, and a 1,500 all on a PSA 9. Whoops, missed my window. So his silvers took off, and then pretty much all his other stuff took off. And, I've been saying for a while, I think it was just a matter of time before something spurred the NBA market. And in this case specifically, I think it was twofold. I think Luka was about to turn a corner anyway, because his stuff had kind of bottomed out and was kind of sitting there. NBA free agency was around the window or around the corner. And then he had to go off in the Olympic game. So since then, I ran these charts back since then. And what specifically has been leading the charge is the Silver PSA 10. On 7/14, it was a $4,200 card. This was the bottom. So I ran this from the bottom. So I cheated, selective endpoints. It is what it is. But I was curious to see where this has gone since it basically bottomed out. So around 4,200. Currently, as of today, one sold 2 days ago for $5,650. Missed that window. A little out of my price range anyways on a 10, but like I said, I was hoping to get a 9. So we go down here. Over the last, whatever that is, a little over 3 weeks, 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks. PSA 10's up 32%. The 9's up 23%. So what I was curious of, like I talked about, was is there anything else that slipped through the cracks? Let's look at his optic hollow. Now, interesting thing here is this card is actually much lower pop. The PSA 10 silver is 2200 ish, 20 or 2K, 2100, and the PSA 9 is basically the same at 2100. Optic hollows, the card I prefer actually. PSA 10 is 300, under 300. PSA 9 is 450. These are very, very tough grades and absolutely fantastic looking cards. The 9 in the exact same time frame is also up about 30%. The 10, one has not sold, but I would be willing to bet it will be about the same. The last one sold for 3.5K on 720. You cannot find one anywhere for anything remotely close to this number. And because these are low pop, they just do not come up that often. You need to be patient, wait for one to come up on auction, and then who knows where the market's going to go from there, or try to find someone that's willing to sell at the old comp. And that's been, we've talked about this a ton, the push-pull struggle between the comps and not the comps, or people being willing to sell at current comps versus just not selling. And on something like Luka, a lot of people are just willing to hold because they have a strong feeling that it's going to go back up again. So you need to find someone that is motivated to sell. What are you going to do? So good luck finding one of these for 3,500. If you could, I would snap call it in a heartbeat because that card's probably going to jump about 20 to 30% the next time one sells. Let's continue on down the line, shall we? This is the interesting one. Or actually not. This is one of the interesting ones. Select his Concourse Silver and his Premier Level Silver. Now, well, I guess it's not that interesting. It's the same problem that we had before. The last two sold for basically around, let's just call it 2,200. One went for 23, one went for 21. The problem is that the last sales were 722 and 79. I know Justin, frequent viewer of the channel, was looking for one of these and asked me to keep my eyes peeled to National for one. I did not really see one. They're only pop about 200. However, they also don't come up for sale very often. Sub pop 200, and no one's willing to move them at the old comps unless you happen to find an auction that slips through. So same problem applies. If you see one of these for around 2K-ish, I would probably snap it up. Or you're going to have to be patient and wait for an auction, and at that point in time, it's probably too late. Your best play here might be at like a semi-local or regional show, if you could find someone that has one in the case and is willing to move it at current comps, but that's no sure thing. So that's the tricky part with this one. There's just no recent sales for us to base the data off of, but if you see one for around those prices, I would probably look to make a play at it at those current prices. I think, and that's really the interesting thing. I have some more cards to cover here, but we'll divert. Is the Luka bump, and I guess this will be my question for you, the audience, as well, is the Luka bump strictly because of the Olympics, or is it, okay, he bottomed out, I should probably be buying Luka stuff, he got too cheap? Or, this is kind of where I sit, a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Luka stuff flattened, and then Luka did something to remind us all why Luka's amazing, and people were like, let me go look at Luka prices. Oh man, that's real cheap, let me buy some of that. That's my guess on what's happening here. The key is, or I guess the key question is, what happens between now and Halloween when the season starts? Are these going to continue to spike and then settle back down again? Or are we going to see a slow crawl upward between now and Halloween? Or, because now, they've been eliminated, not eliminated, they're going to play for a bronze, which would actually be a pretty big deal. The Slovenian national team has never medaled before, so them just getting a bronze is a pretty big deal. If they would have got to the gold medal game, I think it would have been pretty hype, but didn't happen. What are you going to do? But just them getting a bronze medal, I think would be really good. And Australian team's pretty decent, and I believe that's who they play. I'm not sure when that game is. So we'll see how that shakes out. But now, that's going to be over this week. I think they play this weekend, and then that's going to be done. And then, the Mavs really didn't do much in free agency. It is what it is. And then are they going to fade back to the forgotten thing, and are the prices going to go right back down again, or do they stay strong? That's what I really don't know. But there's been a nice 30% bump, pretty much 20 to 30% bump, pretty much across the board. Let's look at some of his more random stuff before we get into base cards. The Luka Mosaic PSA 10. I recently just picked up one of these at the National, perfectly timed, and Revolution. The PSA 10 Mosaic, same time frame. Once again, what do we see? Up 30%. The Revolution up 20%. Not as surprising because the Revolution is really often forgotten about. It is a paper card. It's a nice looking card. This, honestly, for a, let's call it, entry level Luka rookie in a PSA 10 is probably my favorite out of all of them. Over like base Prism. This and probably base Optic, honestly, are probably my two favorites. And this just looks a little cooler than base Optic. But I am a sucker for the rated rookie logo. I've talked about that a million times on the channel. I love the base Mosaic too. This is one that I think people just kind of forget exists. I got mine for about 900 because I package dealed it with the Tatum as well and got a little bit of a better deal on it. I actually traded on top of that for a card that I was into for next to nothing. So I kind of got even better price than that on it technically. But, is what it is. But that's also up 30%. So, but still pretty reasonably priced given the pop and how nice that card looks, speaking as someone that owns one. So, all right, let's transition into the base. Oh my God, base. Oh my God, base. Worst thing in the world. Burn it all to the ground. Throw it in a dumpster. It's worthless. I get it. There's a lot of these in some cases. In some cases, there's not. Specifically speaking, the Prism base, there are a lot of them. However, it's a very liquid card. It's easy to move. And if you get in at the right price points, it's okay. And remember, Steve and I talked about this on the live stream that he popped in on Wednesday night. I think that was. I had a few different guests coming in and out. And maybe I should clarify this more when I make statements like this. When I say quote unquote, and I don't usually call out specific cards to air quote invest in, but I think a lot of us say we are investing in, let's call it Luka base. And people hear that and go, you are crazy. It's a 20 million pop count card. I get it. But when we say that, at least when I say that anyways, and like I said, maybe I need to be more clear on this. I'm not talking about going to buy Luka base at, $650 at its floor where it got to a few weeks ago. I'm not saying buy that card and stick it in the safety deposit box and throw the key away and then hand it to your grandkids in 20 years. It's not what I'm saying. Luka base is something you can move in of at its lows and move out of when it peaks back up again. Make your couple $100, make your 10, 20%, and move on to the next thing. It's always going to be liquid. You could throw a Luka base Prism PSA 10 up for auction, and you pretty much know what it's going to end at. Or just put it up at best offer, buy it now. You pretty much know what it's going to end at. So if you bought it at $650 and now it's an $850 card, maybe you move it for $800 locally, $750 locally. You made $100 on it. Nice and easy. So when we say invest in a player, it's not like you need to hold it for 8 years. It could be hold it for 8 weeks. Get in, get out. Make your 20, 30%, whatever it is, and then move on to the next thing. So, but speaking of Luka base market, some of it moved not as much. Base Prism's up 20%. That one's really been flying lately, and it was actually lower than this if you go back a little bit further. Base Optic up to 462. You know me, I'm a sucker for the base Optic. Absolutely love this card. My favorite Luka base card. The blue looks really good. Rated rookie little color match there. I actually kind of like the picture better than the shooting one. I guess that one's okay. But up 462, a 40% increase on that one. And if you're scared of pop counts, Luka Optic base is 4,200 compared to 18,000 on his Prism. The interesting one with the much ballyhooed select basketball, Concourse is up 60%, going for $800 now. Premier level, I own one of these, full disclosure that I am very upside down on. Staying flat at $800. Pop 620 on the premier level. I've talked about this for months on the channel, dating all the way back to last year. I am a sucker for select premier level. They're super low pop. They're nice looking cards. I love my Luka base premiere. I am not looking to move it. I don't care if the price goes back up again. I guess I would move it in the right deal. Obviously, you shouldn't say you're never going to move anything. So I don't want to make declarative statements like that. But it is not a card I am in a hurry to move. I am not worried that I am in the hole $400 on that card, I believe. It is what it is. I believe in Luka and I believe in the card long term. So I'm fine with that. Luka is one of the few players that I am willing to hold long term if I have to. And even though it is a base card, it is a low pop base card on a popular brand. So it's not the same comparison in my mind that I just made talking about Prism base, move in, move out. So the base card market on Luka also up 20-30%, and more in some cases. Let's continue on. The other thing that I wanted to look at was his running mate. That pretty much covers it for Luka's cards. We are starting to see Trae Young life as well. And we're not going to do a deep dive on Trae. I just wanted to touch on this really quickly. Trae's base prism, silver prism PSA 10 in the same time frame is up 41%. His PSA 9 is actually flat. So there's definitely a buying opportunity there potentially on the PSA 9 once again, if you could find one at comps. I already looked, I couldn't find one. I could find some close, but not quite that low. So the Trae Young market seems to be moving as well. And I didn't do a full deep dive into this, but I wonder if as the modern Luka and Zion and Ja and Trae and those guys drive the modern NBA market. And I'm wondering if the Luka spike, Luka going off, brought people's attention back away from baseball, away from football, and said, man, Luka's really cheap. Let me buy some Luka. And then they go, well, I wonder what Trae Young's doing. Oh, his stuff's really cheap too. Let me get a little bit of Trae. And that caused his stuff to shoot up. I did not look at Zion or Ja yet. I'll do that for the Sunday morning video, perhaps. I wanted to focus specifically on Luka here, and then I kind of fell down a Trae Young rabbit hole at the same time. So what do you guys and girls think? Is this the spur to kick ultramodern NBA market into gear? Or is this a blip and then it's going to go right back down again? There was a lot of hype for ultramodern NBA at the Nationals. So does that carry over? We're in peak football season now, and also we just finished up Woj bomb season. All that stuff shook up the market as well. So I'm just very curious to see from this point going forward, specifically for the purposes of this video, what does Luka's prices do? Do they keep trending up or do they flatten back down again? Did they spike just because of the Olympics? Or, was it the bubbling volcano and the Olympics caused the eruption? It was going to happen anyway, but the Olympics caused it to erupt maybe a little bit earlier than initially thought. So those are the thoughts running through my head right now. I'm glad I got some Luka on the dip. I picked up that Optic Hollow. I picked up that Mosaic PSA 10. I would have liked to have gotten more, quite honestly. It is what it is. At least I got some. Silver Prism PSA 9 would have been icing on the cake, but can't have it all. So that's all I have for you guys and girls. Like, comment, sub, and we will see you on the Sunday morning video tomorrow. Peace.